All right, welcome to the Songcast.com presentation. I'm Breaking Pika, going to be a shoutcasting host. Joining me is Yori here as a co-caster, and this is It's Gosu tournament number 2 for the month of May. We are in the round of 16 now, and we have HaunPortal.org going to be taking on Team Pikachu. One of my most favorite team names, that's for sure. You're in a best out of 1, so obviously you win, you're good, you lose, well, you're done. So it's just a 1-game series. Again, 4 teams looking to get those final 4 spots here. We'll know after today who those 4 teams are going to be. It's for a chance to compete for the eventual $2,200 plus prize pool, and there's even $500 alone in this event. So a lot of money on the line, a great event altogether. Looking forward to it. But we got a fun matchup here. Can't wait to see what happens, Yuri.
Yeah, me as well. Of course, now into the round of 16, I believe. So round of 16 already. You know, kind of a smaller bracket today, but not too many complaints. I want to point out a couple of interesting ringers over here on Team Pikachu. In particular, that dark green player, I think at least some of us should recognize our man Infused CT Esports Butch here. That's kind of an interesting ringer to have.
Buch.
Buch, is that how you say it?
That's how I've been told to pronounce it from
my
past.
back of the throat wasn't quite on.
Gotta get the Buch.
Buch.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, still, an interesting ringer nonetheless. What's the story here? I mean, has he been playing a lot? I know he's a pretty big-time player, but we really haven't been seeing him around the scene too frequently.
I mean, yeah, recently he's definitely been a lot more inactive than he used to be, that's for sure. I mean, he's definitely just an old-school player, a player that's been around for a bit, been in several teams throughout history, and has definitely, been just one of those solid players that, at least when I see, I see the name, I'm like, it's good to see him again. So, yeah, definitely good to see him here playing for Pikachu. And obviously a very good player at that, so definitely going to be someone perhaps that stands out for them. But they are going up against a tough port team here who, as our recent rankings stated, number 8 in the community rankings on that top 10 list. So check that out if you haven't yet. Kind of got a little shout out to that there, but yeah, ports obviously I think they got to be the favorites, but Pikachu, they did give BXF a run for their money, remember, in that I believe was the play tournament that we covered in the semifinal matchup. They surprised us, so I'm looking forward to actually a pretty solid game here.
Me as well. Pikachu is definitely one of these, quote, amateur teams that we've been seeing a little bit more frequently with sort of increasingly favorable results, I suppose you could say. So certainly excited to see them here. Yet again, this picking phase is going by lightning speed, so let's not delay any further and take a look at the bans. I'm sure there'll be plenty of time to talk about the delicacies of Team Pikachu once we get into the match. Penny going to start off the banning phase here with an Armadon ban, followed up by Demented Shaman, Glacius, Ophelia, Silhouette, Pebbles, Tempest, and Tundra. Again, fairly straightforward bans, but sort of a surprising amount of supports, both Glacius and Demented Shaman banned, as well as Tempest and Ophelia. So that's kind of the only thing jumping out at me here. Breaky, what are you thinking?
Parasite's been left open a lot more lately. He used to be, if any, really him and Tempest were like the 2 that we see banned a lot, and maybe Ophelia left open, maybe, and the Keeper of the Forest, definitely more so than the other 3, but Parasite has definitely been left open a lot more recently by these teams, and I'm not sure exactly why that's the case, but, obviously with that nerf that he did take, with not being able to deny creep at level 1, when that first came out, it's been a while now, but that definitely does take a little bit away from him from that early right-away impact, at least. But he is being right-clicked here by Port, so very likely he may be picked up by them.
I was going to say, speak of the devil, we may be able to see a Parasite pick here, and lo and behold, Parasite Polywog Priest will be the last 2 heroes to finish off the Han Portal roster, complementing the Miraxis, Bubbles, and Aluna picks. This Hellborn side, though, they've got a couple interesting picks of their own with the Demented Shaman and Glacius bands. They're going to go ahead and pick up 2 supports of their own, and 4, and not too crazy, but a Rhapsody pick, which we have seen from time to time. But what are you making of Rhapsody? I know there was a pretty long period of time when Rhapsody was the go-to support, and it was admittedly a little bit before my time, Breaking.
Well, that was more when the Soul's Bulwark also just came out, and it was just mass push. And her Disco Inferno was so powerful for mass pushing. Because it was, I think they reduced it by 50% damage eventually, and obviously took a little bit away from it. But when it wasn't nerfed, it was a very powerful ability, and that was definitely a big reason why it also makes it for kind of just being very recently coming out, and with that push meta kind of being big time at that point with the Soul's Bulwark, and then Keeper of the Forest getting the Tree Dog. So a mix of a lot of things definitely helped her be kind of a support hero that we did see quite often. But lately, definitely not nearly as much, if not really any. I mean, she is very, very rare nowadays. But I still think she is a very solid support at the same time. And that ultimate, it's not as powerful as a Jerizaiya in the sense that Jerizaiya, you press R and all of a sudden everyone around you has it. And it's only physical, sure, but Rhapsody, she has to channel it. And that's obviously the downside, of course, and on top of that, it's actually not the biggest radius, so she sometimes has to put herself in poor positioning, but if she places herself right, and if she gets a good ultimate off in those team fights, it can be completely fight-changing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Book here on Rhapsody and how he does for our Hellborn side.
Oh, and also, Protective Melody doesn't go on self. It says accept self, so it's only your allies.
Yep, only your allies. So yeah, because you're completely vulnerable while you're doing that. So.
Oh, okay. I'll admit, I actually didn't know that. I thought it was included on her as well. So another difference between the Jerizaiya Rhapsody ult. So that's and it's one of those things. I was sort of just looking at the tooltip, like, oh, that's interesting. All right, good. That's good. I'm really exerting my noobness today, Breaky. I don't know what it is.
Oh, it's one of the when you said that too, I'm just like, God, I could imagine. If she actually had that on herself too, yeah, that would be really ridiculous. But
that's true. You'd have to have a stun. Like if she got a shrunken head, it would be game over. That's ridiculous. All right, yeah, that would be absolutely absurd. I don't even know why that. Whoa! All right, that would be a Dog Kaiser on speed dial kind of situation.
Yeah, but the other great thing about Rhapsody too is she also has a pretty strong laning presence. I mean, the 550 range, not the longest, but not too bad. And the staccato stun can also be pretty fun to use. You know, staggering with other stuns, and of course, Disco Inferno, a great heal ability and eventual push ability despite that nerf. And even her third ability, the Arcane Hymn. It actually can synergize very well with a lot of bursty magic heroes. And as we see here, you know, Wretched Hag especially, and even Magnus with an eruption that goes off, that will add up. You know, of course, Rhapsody expect her to be a little bit under-leveled just because she's playing that Ward Bitch support as they always are. But if she manages to get that not only the first level, but eventually level 4 Arcane Hymn, that could be very powerful for heroes like Magnus and like Wretched Hag.
Certainly right. That is definitely a good thing to point out. Up in the top lane, though, we do see a Parasite looking like he's going to jungle aggressively here in the Hellborn lane, and will complement the Luna Meraxis lane pretty nicely. He's going to be up against a solo Wretched Hag, and I think she's going to find herself struggling quite a bit. And we'll be lucky to pick up really any farm, but we'll see. I don't know. I guess of all the heroes the Hellborn team has at their disposal, probably actually the best to deal with all three of these heroes is, you know, they really don't have too much to lock her down until Parasite hits level 6 and gets that silence. So. You know, if Hag can avoid death, I think that will definitely be a victory here for the Hellborn side, as they do have 2v1 lanes in the middle, as we can see Nymphora Magnus going up against the solo Polywog Priest, and down in that bottom lane, the Cthulhuphant Rhapsody going up against the solo Bubbles. So this is sort of an interesting laning phase, how it's almost a 3v1 lane, and then, you know, two 2v1s.
I love this lane setup here for the Hellborn team. I mean, that 2 versus 1 setup against the 2 solos, this is, you know, when we talk about the jungle strategy, this is something that if you're the opposition, this is what you usually like to see if it works out that way. And so I really think for a Hellborn side, they definitely got the lane set up in their favor in that sense. As you mentioned, though, Parasite being in the Hellborn jungle, we'll see if not only maybe they get a kill on a Wretched Hag at this top lane if he gets pushed up a little bit too bit, or even in this middle lane if they happen to catch a Nymphora perhaps in the middle lane and her in a bad spot. If Parasite comes in, Polywog Priest sets up the CC. And then eventually burst her down. So that will be cool for the Legion side, having him positioning well. But yeah, I really do think both Magnus here and Cthulhuphant at this bottom and middle lane should have a fairly good time, whereas Bubbles and Polywog Priest maybe not the greatest. But Polywog Priest so far actually seeming to be not too shabby. So for a Hellborn team's sake, they hopefully can start locking him down. And with the double stun, I think that they very likely may be able to.
Yeah, I definitely agree. As always in that mid lane, rune control is pretty important, and the first rune is going to go to the hands of Jalim on that Polywog Priest. It is going to be a regeneration rune. And whoa, missing that Bloodlust kill down in the bottom lane. Jonas Umfan is going to get taken out by the Boosh and Cthulhuphant combo. Did you happen to catch it, Breaky?
I did not. I totally missed it. So
I was looking at the runes. Oh.
Yeah, I was definitely watching another lane, but you know, as I mentioned, that staccato stun can just be very annoying to deal against too. And actually for a hero like Bubbles, it could be even more annoying because when he shell surfs, if she actually uses it at the right times when he actually tries to port with it, it can make it very difficult. Meanwhile, speaking of Rhapsody, coming in the middle lane now, puts down the Disco Inferno, and Polywog Priest will very likely fall right here. In fact, there we go, as Magnus and Nymphora, of course, setting up initially. So Rhapsody playing a little bit of role early on as well, and Book already having quite the impact here for our Hellborn side.
Yeah, exactly right. He's definitely doing a very effective job so far. 1-0-1, not a bad way for a Rhapsody to start things off. And glancing at that GPM chart, Cthulhuphon really picking up some effective farm down here in the bottom lane. And oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, missing kills all over the place. As soon as I look away from the minimap, it seems that's when they converge.
Yeah.
Oh man, alright. I am going to tunnel vision on this minimap. Anyhow, down here, or up here in the top lane, they do manage to pick up that kill onto Wretched Hag. So as we noted, a remarkably difficult lane for Hag to kind of do a 2v1 in, or 3v1 depending on where Parasite is. So a 2-for-1 hero kill difference, but still Cthulhuphon really in good shape. With that kill in the top lane, Marax is going to boost that farm a bit more as well. In the mid, a lot of AoE damage coming out, and it's going to be a pretty easy double tap here. Jalam actually going to pick up both kills as Magmus and Nymphora both fall. Nice gank set up there by the Aluna Parasite combo.
Yeah, well, Luna basically telling Rhapsody, anything you can do, I can do better. And obviously, we'll set up that top kill on Wretched Hag, and then came to the middle right after and set up the double kill in the middle lane. So, obviously, Luna doing that a little bit earlier on, but to a lesser extent, or Rhapsody, excuse me. So, yeah, very well played on Luna's part, and being played by Pandy, as you mentioned. Polywag Priest, speaking of rune control, going for the haste rune, but uh-oh, he's in bad spot now. He will get the Hex off, but the Magma stun not going to happen in time. He gets the haste rune bottled up. Will it be enough to get away, though? The staccato stun's happening. Not going to be enough. The haste rune. Perfect rune to have right there for Polywog Priest. He is going to haste array. I guess you could argue maybe Invis rune may have been the only thing better, but still, he is in a very good spot now. He doesn't have a homecoming stone, so I don't know why he said he's in a good spot, because he actually isn't in the greatest spot. When I think about it, he's definitely in enemy territory. But he's still trying it for now. But meanwhile, at the top lane, Wretched Hag actually a lot of pressure once again. Oh, Parasite from behind gets after the blink with the Minotaur stun, setting it up perfectly. And Probusk right there will finish her off. Excellent job by Parasite, positioning himself, expecting Wretched Hag to blink where she did.
Yeah, no, exactly right. I caught the very tail end of it. Wretched Hag falling, and Polywog Priest actually going to be able to survive just fine. So definitely ended up in good position, I guess you could say. Very well done by Jalam using that haste rune to his advantage. So now Han Portal going to start to pull ahead a little bit here, and a small 1k gold and experience advantage going to fall into their favor now 5 minutes in as they double that hero score now 4-2. So they are in good shape. But I just want to say, Breaky, only a product of the 90s would bring out anything you can do, I can do better. Down in the bottom lane, Bubble's going to get taken out by Hag. Nice roam from Hag to come down there and pick up the kill. And, whoa, Jalam going to get taken out in the mid lane, too. Yeah. There's a lot of action in this game. And up at the top, Sequence going to pick up that Tier 1 tower.
This is definitely turning out to be quite the intensive game here. As you mentioned, also that tower kill even happening. So, a lot of back and forth. It does remain, or right now at least, Port has the lead of a 1,100 gold lead, but experience practically identical. And again, we're only 6 minutes in, so really nothing too impactful. That tower kill, no doubt, a big part of why that gold lead is perhaps as high as it is. But yeah, this is a very back and forth game right now, and more action even happening at the top lane. Minotaurs are going to happen on a Rhapsody right there. Meanwhile, Boraxis jumping on them 4 in the background will avoid that back end of the Zeal Stone. Luna's Power Throw not going to hit Cthulhuphon right there, but actually Rhapsody will end up falling despite sitting on the Disco Inferno. Of course, the downside, you have to stand still on that if you want to get healed up. Cthulhuphon, in the meantime, he has Trample. No, he doesn't have Trample coming out. Not enough mana, so he will not be able to use it to get away. Morax is going to get a range, going to throw the Axe on him down. Range for the Quake. Not enough mana for the Quake stun, though, and that will save Cthulhuphon right there. Wow, that had to be so close. 120 mana needed, only had 105 at the time, so not able to help finish off Cthulhuphon. But a lot of action there. I guess only one death actually happening, though, on a Rhapsody.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Pretty action-packed. It's been pretty non-stop. It's really good that Port was able to push that first Tier 1 tower in the top lane, giving him a nice little gold boost as the kind of laning phase continues, though. Hesitant to call it a true laning phase as everyone's been roaming around a hell of a lot. And speak of the devil, Panny gets taken out by Rhapsody. He's kind of caught in a bad position there. Unfortunately, Luna was dangerously low, so ended up being a pretty easy kill, but that will tie it up now 5-5. So, as we mentioned in that picking phase, Han Portal a little bit more well-known, but Pikachu holding their own very nicely here in the early stages, at the very least, giving us an action-packed game. So just speaking to this power, the power of this relatively unknown team that is Team Pikachu.
Ooh, right there, Magmus misses the stun. He's going to get counter war trapped, though. Out comes a tongue-tied, and Magmus will end up falling. Yes, he will, so that is unfortunate for Magmus right there. He missed the initial stun, and that ultimately got him killed. Meanwhile, at the bottom lane, Bubble's actually doing work on a Wretched Hag, as actually Aluna looks like she got the power throw as well to assist for the kill. So, well played on their part. Wow, this is a Parasite. That's the word I was looking for. Parasite jumping for the Power Throw will hit. And actually, a Health Potion going to be activated to avoid the back end of the Zeal Stun, but Parasite even just going to go ahead and use the Face Hug right there just to guarantee the kill, as Haste Rune is bottled up by Polywog Priest. So again, action just continues to get crazy. Oh, wow, that's true, yeah. Parasite actually using the Face Hug. He stole the Health Potion as well as even the Grace of the Nymph, apparently. That's pretty awesome. Rhapsody actually going to get comboed right here, but Magmus, that's a much better stun lined up. In comes right, great Bat Blast on the 2. The Power Throw ends up sniping on Rhapsody, but Luna hanging in a little bit too long, but should be fine. It looks like Magmus another stun in 2 seconds. Can he get it off at least? Yes, he will be able to get it off, but probably not going to get away right here. In fact, going to run into Luna, and Electric Jolt going to finish him off. So Magmus overstepping his boundaries a little bit, and that lead is starting to go more and more in favor now of Han Portal, now 9 minutes into the game here.
Yeah, definitely right. I'm just still shocked at the amount of action we've seen in this match. I mean, it seems everyone's pretty much abandoned their lanes at this point and started roaming around, and it's really a game all about hero kills more so than anything else. No complaints on this end, other than as a cameraman, it's been, well, quite the stressful game thus far. We see yet again Nymphora going to get taken out, and Sequence there on Mirax is going to pick up that kill. And looks like this Tier 1 tower in the mid lane may fall. It's getting dangerously low, just slightly out of deny range. Cthulhuphon going to get hexed. Looks like he's going to get engaged on. There's the Disco Inferno from Rhapsody. Magmus going to come in with a beautiful stun. Oh, and look at the Obliterate on top of that. Cthulhuphon doing a hell of a lot of damage. They're going to be able to pick up the double tap, but at what cost? That cost is going to be his own life as he falls to the wrath of Miraxus yet again. The tower falls, but it gets denied. What a beautiful deny right there by Magmus, and he is going to stun away back to safety. So 2-for-1 exchange, and the tower deny certainly puts that in favor of Team Pikachu.
Yeah, that was well played by Magmus. I love seeing that Obliterate right on top of the perfectly lined up Magmus. Miraxus is going to get caught as well, as Magmus came back in and helps again to set up the kill on him this time. So very good execution there at the end, denying the tower, getting a couple of kills, and lead not as big as it was a minute ago for Han Portal, but is no doubt still in their favor when it is all said and done. Luna is actually going to start heading back up to the top lane. You see Wretched Axe trying to recover on some farm up here in the meantime, as it hasn't proved to be the most impressive, but again, when she was 1 versus 2, if not even 1 versus 3 at times, because of Parasite being in that jungle, it's had a very difficult lane setup, but managing to kind of recover now, as I said, sitting just under that 200 gold per minute mark. We'll see how that goes. You compare that to Bubbles, really. Bubbles, on the other hand, faring off a little bit better. 272 gold per minute right now. In fact, all for the Legion team, everyone's over 200 GPM. The top being Morax is at 335. So overall, very consistent game here for our Legion side.
Yep, absolutely right. Speaking of Luna, though, she's going to be in a little bit of trouble. Is she going to be able to survive? No, Hag's going to come in with the Sonar Scream. Parasite on the way as well. Looks like Cthulhuphon going to be in big trouble. There's the Tongue Tie, but he is just a little bit too beefy. Actually going to be able to survive the Ward Trap. He does have that Helm of the Black Legion as well as the Mystic Vestment, so that will be enough to keep the massive elephant alive. And Luna actually going to be the only one to fall when that exchange is all said and done. So obviously slightly in favor of Team Pikachu there. Again, slowly curbing this deficit that they're at. And, Port's been able to hold on to their lead fairly consistently, at least for the past 5 minutes or so. But, they really haven't been able to get it much further past where it has been. So that's definitely good news for Team Pikachu here, especially as Hag continues her farm and starts to transition into a little bit more of that carry role. That will definitely bode well. In the mid lane, the Kelp Field going to be used. Magmus going to be forced to stun out. Bubble's going to continue on here. Parasite as well. Is he going to be able to finish off this kill? And there it is. Rhapsody going to come in and will use the ultimate. Unfortunately, not going to be able to keep her good buddy alive. And now it looks like she could be in a little bit of trouble, though. Beautiful juking into the trees. Parasite's going to fall for the bait. Probust's going to get taken out. Beautiful Bat Blast from Hag going to come in and finish off Jonas some fun as well. Hag is on the aggressive now, going to blink forward and try and pick off a Luna. Does not have a single point into Haunt. That's a little bit interesting as she's sitting level 8. So not going to be able to slow down Panny, but it doesn't matter. He's going to get caught between 3 heroes. And 3 kills going to come out in favor for our Hellborn side, only in exchange for their Magmus. Now we see that experience lead totally gone. Port just hanging on to the 2 tower kills they were able to pick up a few minutes prior.
Yeah, on that note, you're mentioning no Haunt yet on Wretched Hag. No Deja Vu yet, not even the 1 point into a Luna right there. Not that that would have been a saving grace for her by any means, but definitely worth noting as, sometimes we see at least 1 level, but, other times we don't, and this is definitely the case. I've not seen it, so. But yeah, great job from our Hellborn team cleaning up right there. And again, it's initially that Rhapsody ultimate, it was actually pretty solid. However, Magmus just barely went outside of the range. And that goes back to the point of very powerful ultimate, but you need to be in a range. And Magmus just went outside of it and ultimately got him killed. But even so, you know, they had a lot of CC there, ways to stop it anyway, so maybe it wouldn't have mattered in the end. But so that's kind of the first case, though, of seeing that Rhapsody ultimate. And again, as this game progresses, expect to see a lot more of that coming out from her. But overall, things for our Hellborn side, I mean, that's obviously the dangerous thing with their makeup altogether. We kind of touched it earlier on. You know, not necessarily a hero to lean on as far as, well, eventually coming back and eventually just taking over this game. You know, Wretched Hag to an extent, but even the Legion team, though, for that matter. I mean, neither side actually has that carry-focused hero, ultimately. So that is actually an interesting thing to bring up. Moraxis, good activity with the ultimate, needs it right here to try to stay alive. And if he stays alive, that is unbelievable. But I don't think he is going to in the end. I mean, the 4 heroes being here, Moraxis is damn tanky with that ultimate activated. But yeah, sure enough, the 4 heroes being here, great port in from Nymphora and Cthulhu Font, get the kill. But that's a big kill, too, as Cthulhu Font has now taken over as the best farm in the game. So both teams, honestly, pretty similar with their lineups the more and more I think about this. And actually, the Hellborn team does gain a little bit of a lead there now, perhaps.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, they're ahead in experience now, and the gold differential is pretty much meaningless. So that really did almost reset this game a little bit. If you look at that GPM graph, it's much more even than it was a few moments ago, especially at that kind of tiered effect as far as the supports being lower. Luna's now dipped down below 200 GPM, kind of on par with Rhapsody. I guess you could say Nymphora is the only outlier here for the Hellborn side. Other than that, it's shaping up to be pretty even, which is also interesting because of that point you just made about how neither side really has that carry. You know, no one has a silhouette. I mean, there's an extreme lack of agility. There isn't a single agility hero in this game. So, yeah. I mean, Wretched Hag, maybe Polywog Priest, kind of looking at our, quote, carry heroes for this match, but definitely an interesting thing to note as this game continues. And, I mean, that kind of makes sense as well for why this game's been so hyper-aggressive. I mean, both sides are like, well, we're kind of going to peak around the mid-game here. Our power is kind of in our roaming, our team fight potential, especially early on, as we're not going to scale as well. So that definitely helps to understand why both teams are being so damn aggressive here. As speaking of aggression, we see Wretched Hag getting taken out. The Polywog Priest wards are going to be used, but they secure the kill nonetheless. And this Legion team all grouped up in the Hellborn jungle, ready to make something else happen if someone on the Hellborn team is foolish enough to spring that trap.
Magnus just got his portal key, actually. And, of course, he has been kind of a farming-focused Magnus this game, sitting just under that 300 gold per minute mark. So the fact that he's got his portal key now to go with those Ghost Marchers, and obviously they're paired up with the Nymphora. So we can start seeing perhaps Nymphora and Magnus start roaming around a little bit more and looking to set up kills. Maybe some Wretched Hag assisting as well if she gets in position herself, especially when Nymphora hits that level 11 mark. In the meantime, Parasite pulling these creeps right here, taking advantage of the Voodoo wards that were placed earlier by the Polywog Priest, of course, to get the hero kill. They're going to despawn, but Cthulhu Font kind of ruins the party anyways as he comes jumping in and gets the Legion team to kind of scatter away like flies, and everyone runs away. So
those damn elephants ruining parties.
Yeah, they just come in, knock everything down, and you're like, well, no, there goes that. All right. Gets in the way.
That was a fun party.
But yeah, Wretched Hag, I mean, she's sitting at 230 gold per minute. Obviously, that death right there is slowing her down, but going to be hitting level 11 in the near future. And has kind of gotten to that recovery point. Again, it's just how much can she start to get bigger and better. It's kind of funny, though, sitting here focusing on a Wretched Hag as like being that big focus for this game overall. But again, that goes back to the fact that neither team has a carry like a Silhouette, a Forsaken Arch, or anything of that kind to really focus on. So,
yeah, I mean, it is important to note that Silhouette was actually banned in this game, which is not something we've seen too much. We've seen her picked a lot, not banned nearly as much as she's been picked. So to see her banned here, sort of interesting to see kind of both teams have that mindset of, we're not so interested in the agility carries, and to be honest, we're not really interested in playing against one either, as their rosters are reflecting. So, other item pickups, as you mentioned, Magnus with his portal key, Moraxis has a portal key, as well as Polywog Priest, so plenty of blinking to go around. Looks like Parasite is going to be moving towards that Codex. He does have the Ghost Marchers, did just pick up the Neophytes book, so looks like he's going to be moving into that route. The question will be, is he going to stick on level 1 Codex and transition into something like a Hellflower or a Storm Spirit, or is he just going to be going straight for that level 5 Codex? Of course, we'll see kind of momentarily here, but will be interesting nonetheless.
Yeah. I think this sitting at level 1, I mean, 4 to the 5 heroes on this Hellborn team, fairly squishy. Of course, everyone other besides Cthulhu Font, so it could definitely make that level 1 just that much better. And you might as well then invest in something like a Hellflower after, but yeah, we'll see. we'll see what Parasite decides to do. But pressure being applied at this bottom lane. Obviously, Polywalk Priest, he does have his level 1 ward still, but they're up. However, he's going to port to the top lane, so they are not going to be too interested in terms of really pushing in this base. Now, they do have a ward of sight that was just placed up here by Panny at that top hill, obviously at the bottom lane. So they're very aware that the Hellborn team is kind of grouping up and looking to set up a bit of a defense, so perhaps that's the ultimate reason why they said, screw it, it's so early in the game still, we're only 18 minutes in, definitely not worth getting too crazy in terms of a fight right now. So they decided to fall back, and I think by now they definitely have to be aware that Magnus does have that portal key, so it could be another reason why they decided it's just not worth getting invested right now into a big team fight, knowing that level 2 Eruption could do a lot of damage here to this Legion team. I mean, speaking of squishies, look at our Legion team. They bit of squishies themselves as well, so...
Yeah, and that, to further the sort of interesting facet that is the lack of agility carries in this game, initiation, I think, becomes that much more powerful, especially the amount of portal keys on the board. Who's going to get that jump? Is it going to be the Magnus and Hag combo with all that AoE damage, or is it going to be, Polywog Priest and Meraxis to go in and ward trap somebody, as well as that huge AoE stun that is Quake? Initiation is really what it's going to come down to when it's all said and done. So, both teams at this point are going to be kind of on point, looking for those opportunities to take advantage of their numbers. And speak of the devil in that mid lane, look at how much damage that Eruption did for Magnus. Almost finishes off Luna as, the deja vu, just enough to keep her alive as Hag tries to come in. Looks like this fight is going to continue. Luna does ultimately get taken out, so a 2-for-1 exchange in favor of Team Pikachu. And right there demonstrating the power of a level 2 Eruption, just obliterating Polywog Priest as well as Luna.
Yeah, it did a lot of damage right there. Obviously only got the kill to Polywog Priest ultimately, but all the overall damage eventually set up the kill to Luna and really getting Parasite and Bubbles to fall back themselves. I mean, that was a great jump initially by Polywog Priest. He actually jumped Cthulhu Flump, but again, anyone in this Hellborn team, Cthulhu Flump's for the target that you don't want to really have to jump and finding those opportunities. So it proved to be, you could almost even say a mistake right there, as obviously it did set up the turnaround. But obviously a great idea, it's just not enough burst damage to get him killed and allowing Magnus to kind of come in. It's just unfortunate for the Hellborn side, though, that the help wasn't there immediately for that Magnus, because if it was, I mean, that would have been close to a genocide for a Hellborn time and a pretty easily won fight. So that is the good news, though, at least for the Legion team, that it wasn't as crazy as perhaps it could have been. But back to farming we go. Not that this game has been a whole lot of that. I mean, we're tied at 15 hero kills apiece, 20 minutes in, so 30 hero kills between these two teams. That is just absurd. For only being 20 minutes in. But again, it goes back to this being such a very close game and at the same time very action-packed, which is a very, very good thing. So. Yep,
definitely. I mean, and I'm still a little bit shocked at how well Team Pikachu is performing. Not to say that I expected them to just throw or port to stomp, but again, just with a team like Hanportal that we know pretty well and a team like Pikachu that we've really only seen once or twice in the big arena, I mean, not only are they holding their own, but they've been ahead in this game. They're ahead in experience right now. Yeah, they haven't been able to push too many towers, and that's really the source of this gold deficit. But they're just playing really, really well. Solid plays, solid initiation so far, and that's always a good thing. It's just I keep thinking about it because it's always great to see these lesser-known teams really showing that, hey, we can compete in this arena. We're a team to look out for. Adding more teams to that top 10, competitive team list, all that stuff.
Yep.
Just good news. Puts a smile on my face.
Oh, Polywog Priest, this may put a smile on your face as well. Gonna jump right to that. Oh, but that turnaround right there. Right to that bat blast turnaround. In comes the Red Luna throw. It will help set up the eventual kill on a Red Shidak. Well, what a turnaround right there. Nymphora is gonna port out before the pressure becomes too much. So, kind of making a good thing out of a bad situation initially. But again, Polywog Priest kind of jumping into 1 versus 2. Of course, Meraxis did eventually come over, but great turnaround. And again, it shows you the burst damage that a hero like Wretched Hag no doubt has with that Sonar Scream Bat Blast combination. In the meantime, they're also going to push the middle lane as it is below half-life. Now port's coming in, though, at least one port from Parasite. And the rest of the team making their way over will be enough to scare off Pikachu here to falling back and, again, going back to doing some more farm. But, yeah, hell of an exchange up there at the top side. But more farm we go once again, so it kind of seems like it's an on and off switch here. Rhapsody, Steam Boots, and Amulet of the Exile. I mean, her farm actually hasn't been too bad. She is farming 180 gold per minute. I want to say Nymphora has been taking care of more of the wards, and so perhaps that is the reason for that as well. So that's kind of the good news. But you did mention getting a Shrunken Head on Rhapsody. That would be a balance if it works on herself, of course, but even though it's not activated on herself, I mean, still very, very powerful item, simply because it will allow her to channel it through all the CC that this Legion team has. Every single hero on this Legion side has some sort of crowd control, whether it's silence or stun, so that'll be a big item, I really think, for Rhapsody here, let alone honestly, any hero in this game, frankly. I mean, Shrunken Head will be a powerful item for both teams.
Yep.
You know, Wretched Hag, Polywalk Priest, Bubbles, I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen on those kind of heroes even.
No, you're exactly right. And Shrunken Head on Rhapsody, that's one of the things that always comes to mind, right? I think the first game I ever saw Rhapsody, for some reason I was talking to Phil about it, and he said that's one of the issues with Rhapsody right now is, yeah, she's a really strong hero, but to really take her to the next level, she needs that Shrunken Head. And given her role as a support, she never is really going to have that opportunity to get a Shrunken Head at least 9 out of 10 times. That's just never going to be the case. And if she finally does, there's so many other factors. Your carry's already so farmed that, you know, Rhapsody doesn't really matter so much at that point in the game beyond buying wards. So it's going to be interesting, you know, having those two supports, allowing them forward to take over more of that hardcore support, picking up a lot of those wards. I would love to see a Rhapsody pick up a Shrunken Head and maybe demonstrate some of the unhidden or the hidden power that this hero really has with an item like that.
Yeah, but to that point, I mean, remember, we've only really seen that one ultimate that she used, and unfortunately, really just didn't do a whole lot. So,
that's true.
But I will say, you know, before a case like it comes up, because I'm sure it may very likely, the great thing about Rhapsody's ultimate too, even if you don't get anywhere near a full channel off, even if it's a half a second, as long as that channel, as long as the period that it went off for us, by the way, we would have a jump at the bottom lane. Actually, Polywalk Priest gonna portal key out right before the trample hits, and it will be fine. So great reaction on his part. But say if she happens to get it off right as a Parasite face hug coming in, right as, you know, Moraxis jumps in with a Quake stun or something like that, or some big upfront burst damage, even an Electric Jolt or whatever. I think Parasite's the big one, definitely, especially with that face hug. But if she happens to use it right at that right time, you know, as long as she nullified that one effect, you know, it's worth it. So that's the great thing about that ultimate. You don't necessarily need to get a full channel off for it to be, like, big. I mean, it could just be a half a second. As long as it gets to one of those or two of those abilities, then it's already done quite a bit. So,
yeah, that's a really good point. Oh, no, Panny. He's going to walk right into the trap. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! You activated my trap card, son, and you're going to pay the price. Down he goes. Actually, to the hands of Rhapsody. So going to get Rhapsody one step closer to that Shrunken Head.
Yeah.
And he's about halfway there now. He's got 1,200 in the bank, has the Mighty Blade. So, you know, I'm thinking Shrunken Head on Rhapsody is going to be a reality in this game. Bubbles going to get caught by a trample here. Going to be followed up by that Zeal Stun. You can see Bubbles in big trouble. There's to take cover. The Kelp Field coming out as well. And it looks like he is going to fall, but at what cost? It is going to cost them the life of Nymph-4. And oh no, Rhapsody going to time out in the middle of this battle. And that is definitely bad news bears. A pause going to be coming out here as we see Moraxis use that ulti. The face hug going to be used on the Cthulhu. And there's the pause. So where is Rhapsody?
She's all the way back at base. Yeah, I liked it a little bit before that, and they just didn't realize. Yeah, that's you know, that's no one's fault, but unfortunately, technology, unfortunately, internet.
Yeah,
it sucks.
You know, I saw him headed defensively, and I looked at him. I was sort of thought to myself, well, I wonder where he's headed. And then that fight started, and that would explain it. Like you said, they probably didn't notice right away that he was disconnected. So
I will say, you know, Wretched Hag didn't necessarily have the greatest Bat Blast right there. It did finish off Bubbles, but it was only on Bubbles, and looks like he was actually just about to die anyways. So a kind of unfortunate use of it right there. See him ask, I mean, that they shouldn't do that. That's just, I mean, it is kind of on the fault of the Hellborn team too. You know, not that they should realize that he's DC'd right away, but he has been actually quote unquote DC'd for a little bit here. Obviously, he was all the way back at base, and you know, maybe that's something you should realize on your minimap. That, well, he isn't with us. Should we go in right here? But in the end, you know, whatever it is, it's all said and done. It ends up being a 3-for-1 hero exchange in favor of our Legion team actually in that fight, so that ended up working out pretty well for Port there.
Yeah, and you know, this is one of these situations that we kind of had a little taste of the other day when we were looking at those replays between TDM and Clan Milk from the Plantronics comp when they, was it or Frey?
It was Frey, I think.
Frey and Milk?
No, TDM versus Milk. Yeah, it was TDM versus Milk. Yeah.
Whatever the case, there was that disconnect, and for whatever reason, he couldn't come back, so it had to be a 4v5. And it's one of those situations where, like, yeah, he disconnected. Is it anybody's fault? Well, not really. Can we do anything about it? Not really. Portal just, you know, they get a good fight there, and it's just, there's so many factors. It's impossible to say, well, if, you know, Rhapsody was there, he could have ulted, and that fight would have gone 3 hero kills in favor of the Hellborn team. It's like, well, maybe, but, you know, let Cthulhu live would have been an interesting way to remedy the situation, but alas, they did not. So what's done is done. We're still at a very even game here, as we've sort of observed throughout most of this game. Han Portal ahead by a slight gold advantage, but behind by a slight experience disadvantage, I suppose you could say. So still a remarkably even match.
Yeah. And again, now with that Rhapsody, we've been commenting on her farm. Actually, been pretty solid, and she's level 10 now, so she has that 1 level in Arcane Hymn with the 1 to magic armor penetration, and now 6% the lifesteal as well, and that's going to start adding up, as I talked about earlier. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Morax is going to get jumped. He activates the ultimate now, and then turn around to look at Magnus, though, lining up the eruption. He will go, but he got stunned right as he portal get in. That looks so weird right there. I'm not even sure what happened, actually, but he will end up falling. Cthulhu Font's also taking a lot of damage. In the meantime, Nymphora picked off before that, trying to finish out Polywire Priest's Wretched Hag, but not going to be enough. Polywire Priest will report back to base and regen before that Haunt helps tick him down. Moraxis actually jumped on top of Magnus right as that eruption finished channeling, it looked like. Got the Quake stun, but the Portal Key still actually ported Magnus. So he was actually stunned when he portaled in the midst of that fight, and then he eventually got Hex and CC down. He was not able to stun right there, and that was huge for the Legion team. So a little bit of glitchiness going on, you could say, but that was actually a pretty damn good play by Moraxis at the same time.
Exactly right. Let me reset Skype, because you sounded like a robot that entire fight,
nice.
And it was quite comical. Some lag issues. Oh, are you back?
I'm back now.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting fight to listen to. But yes, you made some very good points in there with Moraxis getting that stun off on Magnus. And hold that thought here as we see the action continuing. And Port going to be able to pick up a couple of kills here on Wretched Hag as well as Nymphora. So I was actually tabbed out getting the Skype call as that was engaging. So I'm not sure exactly what the precursor to that was, but alas, Port does come out 2 kills ahead. Breaky, check. Did you happen to see it?
I mean, just using the Ward of Sight right there, which I guess isn't even there, so never mind. But they just happen to, catch them in a bad position as a portal key initiation for Moraxis, and eventually getting the kills over there. So yeah, just really great job by the Legion team initiating it. But I still can't get over that Magnus play there. How it kind of glitched out. He got stunned, but still ported, and put himself in a very vulnerable spot. So yeah, that was unfortunate for him.
Unfortunate indeed. So now, for really the first time in the past 10 minutes or so, we really see a fairly strong momentum shift now, picking up for Port, of course, ahead by a bit of experience now, but 5k gold ahead as they pick up a few kills. Following that fight, looks like they are going to try and pressure this mid lane here and possibly take out this last remaining Tier 2 tower for the Hellborn side. Polywire Priest is just going to throw the wards down. The creep's going to hit the tower. And we'll see if they end up picking it off. Not a hell of a lot of follow-up damage here, really just the wards and Moraxis up in the front lines. Looking at items here, Polywire Priest has finished his Shrunken Head. Rhapsody now with that Warhammer in hand, just about 1,000 off the recipe for Shrunken Head of her own. So that big item pickup we keep talking about getting interesting. Rhapsody with the second clutch deny of the game right there. Beautifully done, but that will lead up to a nice engage for this Legion side. Polywog Priest going to be in trouble. The eruption going to come in, but Polywog Priest going to have that Shrunken Head activated. There's the blast, Bat Blast we've been waiting for. Double tap actually going to come out in favor of Rhapsody after a well-placed Disco Infernal. Bubble's going to try to port out here. Wretched Hag going to have the DPS to finish off Jonas. He's going to fall. Moraxis is going to be in big trouble here as well. And is he going to go down? It looks like it. Nice portal key from Magnus to try and slow him down. Maybe not nice enough. There's the trample, and he's going to fall. Wretched Hag actually going to come in and pick it up with that Sonar Scream. So Polywog Priest, the only one left alive, and it's all thanks to that Shrunken Head, which was activated as the eruption came in. But wow, talk about a momentum shift. We were just talking about it for Han Portal, and now we see it for Team Pika.
Well, the eruption, again, proves to be very powerful, and he mentioned a great Bat Blast, too, for Wretched Hag. If they synergize those two abilities, this Legion team will melt away, and that definitely happened right there on the Legion side. They tried to spread out, kind of run in different directions, but Polywog Priest ended up being the sole survivor. Everyone lived in the Hellborn team, and I think the biggest thing, and something I wanted to mention going into that fight as well, I was really looking for it, Rhapsody has still only used that ultimate once from what I recall. She didn't even use it right there again, but there really wasn't an opportunity. I mean, obviously with everyone staying alive, it's not even necessary, so that's the good thing there. But I do find it interesting that, really, they made that comeback in that fight, and they won that fight without a big Rhapsody ultimate, and we keep going back. I mean, she has the money now to finish that Shrunken Head. In fact, we see right there. So now she's going to be a lot more confident and kind of running in the midst of these fights here and just channeling that ultimate of hers. Now, we've talked about this so many times before. It's kind of one of those things, though, that keeps trolling out. Now, I know Kelphil does not stun through Shrunken Head. I'm aware of that now, but I don't know if the Parasite Face Hug still silences through Shrunken Head. I want to say it does. I want to say it does because I know we've talked about this so many times in the past.
You're a gambling man, breaking.
But
you want to gamble on it? I think it does damage, but the silence and
or is it
debuffs
the okay? So it does the damage still, but just not the silence. Okay, maybe that is it then. Okay,
that's what I think. I'm kind of in your shoes where I'm not 100%, but that's if I was asked on a quiz, that's what I would write down.
Okay, let me actually get my contacts real quickly and see.
But yeah, other than that, you're right. I mean, they don't have, there's no Pharaoh here or anything like that that can interrupt through. And Keltfield's the same way, right? It still does damage, but it doesn't.
But the stun does not go through. So maybe with that said, yeah, maybe that actually makes more sense now.
Yeah.
With that
So that's actually really huge for Rhapsody. As we were, we were talking about how big it was before, but that's even, it looks like this Legion team, they didn't really pick around a Rhapsody. If Rhapsody was Tempest in this game, if Pharaoh pick may have made more sense in that, along these same lines, like, well, how can we still shut down Tempest despite that big Shrunken Head pickup? But when you see Rhapsody, you never think, well, he's going to get a Shrunken Head, and we're going to have a lot of trouble dealing with this Rhapsody. That's just not, I don't think that's too common of a thought process when you're in the drafting phase, in our current meta at least.
Yeah, it's definitely not as, and I want to kind of stay away a little bit from acting like it's the end-all ultimate and now they're going to win this game, absolutely, but it is a big deal. It will help this Legion team, no doubt, and it definitely will be very beneficial for them if she can get that good channel. But she still needs to make sure she positions right, and she still needs to make sure, which is going to be the big part, like I stressed earlier, that she times it correctly, because it's one thing to time it, to get a full channel off. But if you do that full channel when minimal damage is coming out, let alone big abilities like that face hug, and then that happens after, what really did it do other than maybe force them to reset a little bit? So really, when it comes down to when will she actually use it is going to be the big key here. And I'm intrigued to see how Book decides to use that ability. But man, oh man, this game, Pikachu, they take back a lead here after that last team fight. It was looking like Han Portal, especially after that whole Magnus situation, was going to be pretty amazing. Amazing situation here in this game. But no, Pikachu held their ground, got a big team fight themselves right at the base, and sure enough, if anything, they got a slight advantage once again. So.
Yep, exactly right. So I'm giggling at the chat, all of the comments about the robot voice.
My T-Pain impression.
My favorite is Kanye West cast. Auto-tune CPK.
Lol.
Ooh, sorry, I just...
Gotta love Skype sometimes. I like how it just randomly bugs out like that, and you just recall and everything's fine. But.
Yeah, you're just like, well, I guess Skype had a server split or something.
Yeah.
What happened? The Microsoft hamster just taking a break here?
It's pretty awesome.
Don't know what to make of it. Anyhow, item pickups here. Cthulhuphant going to be one to make a big item pick. He's going to grab that demonic breastplate recipe, so... Definitely a big pick for the Hellborn side, and interestingly enough, Probusk on this Parasite is not going to follow our advice, at least, as far as that level 1 Codex and transitioning. He is sitting on level 3 Codex right now and just delivering the recipe for level 4. So, looks like he's going all in on that Codex, and we'll see how that works. Not a bad choice. Certainly going to be able to pick up a free kill on any of these squishy heroes that he encounters, though... just given how strong Hellflower is, certainly is a powerful choice, especially with the Shrunken Heads coming out and on that Rhapsody, Hellflower could prove to be super effective. We do see a Bound Eye in the inventory of Cthulhuphant as well, so some counter-warding action going on here or not even really counter-warding, just some ward destruction action here from the Hellborn team going about, so... Good to see them picking up the Bound Eye and getting a little bit of map control here, 35 minutes.
Leveling up the Codex is basically Parasite saying, I know I may very likely die in these team fights, kind of just putting myself in those vulnerable positions in the first place, but I'm just going to do as much upfront burst damage as possible. And, now with the level 5 Codex, we've talked about this before too, where he can leech face-hug one person and then Codex the other and do a lot of damage to two heroes, a lot of upfront burst damage to those two heroes, and could definitely win them team fights because of that. So perhaps that is something, some of the logic there that... Probusk here on this Parasite is coming down to. But right now, Legion side, Home Portal doing a little bit more of a push in the middle lane once again. But while that's going on, you got Wretched Hack down here. Of course, her Nullstone pickup. She has to have a good amount of gold. Yeah, 4,400 gold saved up on her. I was going to say, what is she going to come with next? Shrunken Head, we talked about that earlier, but with the Nullstone already, might seem like, not necessarily overkill, but maybe wants to go for more... Hellflower herself, something like that, more damage focus herself now. Sheepstick, though, was just purchased by Magnus, and that's a pretty big deal, too.
Exactly right. And I actually, just looking at the inventory, for some reason I thought Hag was the one that picked that sheep stick. And I was looking at how much gold she had. I was like, those numbers aren't quite adding up. But alas, it is going to be Magnus that picks up the sheep stick. So that's another, that's another big item pickup. And if Hag gets that Hellflower as you were talking about, I think that would be really the smart choice here, given that she's going to be the one to take over a little bit more of a carry role as we're starting to get a little bit closer to that late game point where Hag is really going to have to start being a little bit more of a right-click auto-attack hero, and she did go ahead and just right-click that Hellflower. So a smart choice, at least in my opinion, and going to give them one more scary item to deal with, which is kind of the name of this game right now. The Legion side does have some gold pulled up. Polywog Grease about 2.3k, as well as Bubbles with almost 4k, sitting around 3.7. Where is he going to go, sitting with that Ninja Turtle skin? I don't know. I don't know what he's going to pick up. Is he going to go in that Hellflower route as well, or maybe just go for a Shrunken Head himself? I'm actually kind of curious to see what he's.
Yeah, that's where I brought that up earlier. I think the Shrunken Head in this game, compared to a lot of other games, it's all usually just a very powerful item, sure, but in this game, both teams very magic damage heavy, let alone CC heavy. And Shrunken Head obviously can prevent a lot of that, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a Shrunken Head on something like a Bubbles and that Wretched Hag, but as you mentioned, the Hellflower on her. Bubbles 3,700 gold saved up, so needs 3,900 for the Shrunken Head. We'll see, maybe that comes up, but of course you are in a case now of 38 minutes into the game really, with how even it continues to be. I mean, look at that golden experience difference, so minimal, slightly in favor of the Hellborn team though. Buybacks are obviously big thing to look out for too. So we'll see. Keep an eye on that. How the money situation works out here for both these sides. But look what our Hellborn team's doing. Actually, all 5 of them grouped up right now. They are really clustered together. They are making sure not to go too far from one another, as they are going to make their way at the bottom lane, trying to find somebody. I don't see any vision down here for the Legion team. So this could be a good situation right now for Pika here.
Yeah, exactly right. And I'm just glancing at chat, and some people are saying both Bubbles, we had it backwards, both Bubbles and Parasite do their disable, they'll both interrupt. Parasite will silence but doesn't do any damage, and Bubbles does get a mini stun when he first uses Kelp Field, but no damage is done. So I
could have sworn I tested that the last time we talked about that with Bubbles, and because I thought it did, but I was actually proven wrong, and so I tested it and it didn't. So now I'm all confused again. Damn it!
We're gonna have to make a practice game, or just wait to see it in this game, because I see people on both sides in chat, and it's getting pretty rude. It's getting pretty rude. So we'll just have to go with some first-person experience here and see. Hopefully, one of them tries to do it to Rhapsody with a Shrunken Head, and we can really get some good data here. Because I don't know, man. Throwing my hands up in the air.
Hey, Kelfield doesn't interrupt BKB, just for your information. That was from Shams. He's the one that brought it up to me about a month ago. I just went back to my messages and saw that. So according to him, and he's a very smart player, and I remember testing it after talking to him, and he ended up being right. So I'm going to go ahead and say it does not stun through BKB, through Shrunken Head.
Okay.
So which leads me to believe the silence would not affect either. So again, that's one of those that's one of those things that it seems like it always comes up, and for whatever reason we just keep forgetting what it actually is.
Well, it does, and part of it is because everyone, no matter which side you're on, everyone is 100% confident, and they're so eager.
I know.
No! You're an idiot!
You're a fucking moron! I'm so right! You're wrong! It's like, oh, never mind, I guess you're right. Here, in the meantime, we have initiation. There's a Rhapsody ultimate, but there we go. It's a little bit too late. Magnus was already bursted down. You talk about Parasite right there, and the burst damage, too much for him to handle. Also, exactly what I'm talking about. Rhapsody, it's great that she has a Shrunken Head, but if she does not time it, then what use is it? Right there, completely delayed with the use of it, and Magnus was already dead. I mean, it happened so quickly, so you can't really blame him. But Parasite, man, I mean, he showed his burst damage right there with that level 5 Codex and everything else. So, huge pick, but they don't really get too much out of it. Obviously, Kongor did take a little bit of damage initially. Now back to him they go. I don't know if this is necessarily going to be a Kongor kill, though. I mean, Magnus is down for 30 seconds, but they are going to start falling back. So, it wasn't necessarily the biggest deal right there. I don't know. More axes jumping and kind of crazy. He's just going to throw his crazy axes, though, and I don't think too much else is going to happen after that.
Nope, not going to be able to secure a kill. Probably going to blink up as well, but looks like the rest of the Hellborn team is going to be safe and sound. So, I mean, this game just got even more even. Just looking at that different, I mean, we're like within a couple hundred golden experience. So that is just absolutely incredible how even this game is 41 minutes in. And I think at the beginning of that fight, you mentioned Rhapsody. Yeah, being powerful, yeah, it's great. She has that shrunken head, but timing and positioning is so key with that hero, and it makes it a lot more difficult. We saw Magnus just got obliterated, and it's not even like Rhapsody's reaction was that slow or he was that far out of position. I mean, he reacted pretty quick. Just the burst damage from Parasite and everyone else following up, it just... I mean,
you can't. Yeah, it just happens.
Got to
so
be
quickly.
a computer to react to that or something. I mean, it's just a little too much. So interesting is the moral of the story here. And be curious to see who actually ends up picking up Kongor. Both teams have now shown some interest in trying to finish off Kongor here, and he's still sitting at a little bit above half health. And speaking of the devil, Team Pikachu going to move in and put some pressure on him. Looking at the ward situation, I don't know if our Legion side has a ward in the near vicinity. It actually doesn't look like it. So this could be Pikachu's opportunity. Pick up a Kongor kill and maybe start to pick up a little more momentum for the second or third time here in this match.
Yeah, and don't forget, too, the big thing here about this positioning is that Magnus is sitting off to the side. So if the Legion team, for whatever reason, if they do choose to come in, as you mentioned, not much vision here, but if they do try to make something happen, Magnus will be channeling up that eruption, which is level 3 now, and jumping in, doing a good chunk of damage, especially around this area. You tend to be pretty clustered. So that's going to be a big thing to keep in mind about this fight coming up. But for the meantime, not too much happening just yet. You see the Probusk and the Parasite there taking over the Archer and going to scout things out with it, but unfortunately for him, though, not going to find too much. But this Kongor, I'm just as intrigued as you are. Both of them very, very low. We do see them jumping in. Morax is going to jump into the background, gets Wretched Hack, but here we go. The Rhapsody channel, the ultimate, and will save Wretched Hack for the upfront damage. In comes that channel eruption from Magnus, and there we go. However, Polywog Priest had this shrunken head activated himself, so 0 damage really coming out on him right there. Aluna will end up falling, though, and now we see the return damage coming out of Rhapsody, but not going to be nearly enough for kill. Trample coming out for Cthulhu Fawn, and Morax is going to start falling now. He's caught in a bad position. Hellflower's applied from Wretched Hag, and Moraxus will melt to the ground, and this will also get the Kongor kill for Helper Timber. Will it? They're going to port somewhere. This is interesting. Bubbles is actually going to port away, and it looks like it will be fine. Nobody gets caught by Magnus. Will it be enough for the kill, though? The trample, the Grace of the Nip. Oh, he tries to dodge it, but it's not going to be. Oh, look at Parasite. He comes out, and he snipes down Nymphora. The tower will go down, and now Parasite finding himself in a tough spot. Can he port out? Nope. He cannot. Okay, so they do basically get the genocide right there, or did Polywog Priest even die? I guess he didn't.
I think he survived.
He did survive. They passed up Kongor, though.
A very ballsy play from Pikachu right here to do that port, like you said, but they made the best of it. They picked up those 2 kills, got the tower, and now they're just going to go straight to pressuring the base. So although it felt a little bit risky, I think kind of the right play here, they could end up getting racks out of this. They are going to man up really hard onto this Aluna. There's the sheep stick. Penny's going to get dropped like he's hot. This tower is going to start falling pretty damn quick here. It's indeed going to go down. The racks are exposed. They've got a good 20 seconds before too many heroes pop up. Well, before Bubbles pops up, Mirax is going to be up in 10, but that will not be enough to save the melee racks, or the range for that matter. So, wow, Team Pikachu now really going to pull ahead. We're going to see a sheep onto Wretched Hag to interrupt that port from Polywog Priest. Just one of those, like, screw you, Hag. Now you're going to have to blink and run back to the base. But, wow, that is absolutely huge. Right there, I think we saw the power of Rhapsody with a shrunken head in that fight. That was really the tide turner.
Well, yeah, definitely a big. That was a great Rhapsody ultimate. Obviously, the upfront damage on the Wretched Hag. It wasn't necessarily the most. It really seemed like it was just more Axis there. I mean, the follow-up was coming, so that's where I'm a little bit hesitant to say that it was a great Rhapsody ultimate. But at the same time, it did. It's one of those ultimates. Similar to a Soul's Blessing, of course, where you see it and it completely resets you, and it resets your mindset. You're like, well, we were going to go in, but maybe we shouldn't now. So it seems like they were kind of a little bit staggered there in terms of their decision making, and that's where you could argue that maybe it was the best choice. But
yeah, and that was kind of the thought process I was going on. Like, yeah, but it separated Miraxis from the rest of the team, and you kind of in that fight we observed the rest of the Legion team, like, they kind of wanted to follow up, and they saw the Rhapsody ult, and then they were all sort of at the bottom of this hill, kind of like, well, should we go on and try and commit to this? Should we run and kind of just say, well, sorry, Miraxis, it was a good effort, but we're going to abandon ship and then try and re-engage? And it seemed like once that Rhapsody ult came out, Han Portal, their plan just went up in smoke, and it was turned into kind of a frenzy, every man for themselves, or every man or woman for themselves. And I don't know. I mean, you're right. You could kind of argue it from both sides, but I mean, regardless, the outcome is the same. Team Pikachu. Woo!
Yeah.
Thunderbolts come down all over the place.
Indeed. You're going to Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. I mean,
I'm all over the place.
your card games. Busting out the card games today. So
I'm in a good mood. Memorial Day's coming up. Went
Yeah.
grocery shopping today. Got a couple steaks for dinner. I'm in a good mood. Good weather. Got some peppermint tea.
I'm looking forward to having a barbecue this weekend. I don't know exactly when yet, but I'm sure one of these days I'll have a fun barbecue. And
I'm looking forward to having a nice cold beer and doing a little bit of grilling this afternoon or this evening.
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to that after we finish up with this fine tournament, of course.
of course.
Of course.
Gotta do this first. So obviously, this is our second of 3 matches planned for today. On that note, and this is the round of 16, and then the winner of this will move on to the round of 8, where we'll see. You know, we're gonna try to see whichever round of 8 match we can catch, but we'll catch that one and we'll cast that one. And then, of course, tomorrow that it'll all kind of start over in the sense of casting against tomorrow at the same time we started today. 12 p.m. Pacific, 2100 Central European Time, where we'll cover the semifinals, best out of 3. And of course, the finals, that'll be casted by the It's Gosu casting team, which currently is Sneaky, and I'm not sure who she's co-casting with today. But
I believe right now she's casting with Genova on the It's Gosu stream on Owned 3D, so that's there. And there are a handful of players streaming first-person view. Also, I know ProBusk is actually one of them. He's probably streaming first-person as we speak, so... I do have all those cataloged, well, most of them cataloged on my website. You can find some of them on Twitch TV as well. So there are plenty of people streaming. I think Raw Rich is also doing some coverage on his stream as well. So there's plenty of coverage in this event. You know, if you're not satisfied with Portal versus Pikachu, and I can't imagine why that would be the case, but if you're dissatisfied, there's certainly plenty of options for Heroes of New Earth coverage today.
yeah.
It's always a good thing. Always a good thing to see.
Yeah, and that's definitely been happening more and more recently, which again is as you see, it's a great thing. But especially, let alone from the caster's point of view, but from the player point of view too. I like to see more and more players starting to step up in streaming, and it definitely is a lot of fun to watch, especially when you get like the vet communication. And you can see like how they talk with one another in the game. So it's great to have all these perspectives because obviously, you know, we appreciate you guys tuning into us, and hopefully you are having a good time. But hey, you know, as long as you're having fun watching Heroes of New Earth, that's what matters. As long as it's Heroes of New Earth. That's a good thing.
Exactly right. My own bias, I prefer you watch me and Breaky, but, you know, if you're watching Han, I'm not going to complain. No complaints. So
I am a pretty cool individual, so...
I'm a pretty cool guy. It's Diablo 3 reference here or there. How could you not like it?
Oh, man. I actually haven't played Diablo 3 the last couple of days. The last 2 days, I actually haven't played it. I kind of went in that initial, like, grind, but these last couple of days, I've just... But this weekend, I definitely will.
Well, the Real Money Auction House coming out on the 29th. So
yeah, I got my check. I got my next paycheck ready. Going all to the Real Money Auction House.
Yeah. Hey, it's either poker or the Diablo 3 Real Money Auction House. I don't know which is a worse investment. I'm really not sure.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. Well then, this game though, how about that? I mean, Barrier Idol's another item that we really haven't stressed too much, but obviously in this game, makes a lot of sense. Of course, Miraxis has had one for a while, the Hellborn side. Obviously, Cthulhu having his, so that's something. Oh, you see right there, Parasite, he stole the creep from him with the hook, and he jumps on top of him. However, Parasite, what a return right there, getting the kill himself. He will die shortly after. The Rhapsody Channel Ultimate, going to do a little bit, but unfortunately for herself, not going to do enough to stay alive. But Wretched Axe, Shrunken Head activated, chasing down this Polywire Priest. I think that Rhapsody Ultimate was trying to save Nymphora, but again, just a little bit too late. But in the end, it is going to be a one fight here for a Hellborn team, it looks like. Miraxis tanking the damage. He is quite the damn tank, as we keep referring to, but I don't think it's going to be enough right here. Trample comes out, and the final auto attack from Wretched Hag. Smackdown kill on top of that to add insult to injury. And once again, a case of Polywalk Priest being the sole survivor. For how much investment has been around this Conger Pit, the fact that he still hasn't been killed kind of surprises me. But hey, for the Hellborn team, hasn't been necessary. They're going to go back into the base now. The bottom already cleared out, obviously. They got a big push opportunity right here in the middle lane now. I don't know if they're going to get the racks by any means, but definitely the tower should be destroyed. As the resurrections are going to start happening. But another one fight for Team Pikachu here, and Port continues to get further and further behind. So
exactly, Miraxis does have a buyback here, so in about 10 seconds they could all pop up. The tower has fallen, so we could see some the exposed racks fall fairly quickly here. Polywog Priest is going to get Hellflowered. The Magma stun going to come in. Magmus in kind of an awkward position here, but I think that was all just some bait as we see the racks getting taken out. So got to give some credit to the man mode from Magmus as the range racks do fall, and we see the melee racks getting dangerously low. Killfield going to come out and forward, going to try to port away, but unfortunately not going to make it. Probus going to be able to pick up a double tap there to clean things up a little bit. Still, though, the damage has been done, although it was only the range racks. The creeps have been filtering in, and even this base tower now taking a good bit of damage down to about 2/3 HP. So things continuing to look a little bit rough for Han Portal, though they were able to pick up 2 kills.
Yeah, I mean, Port is, and I do keep looking at you kept mentioning that Meraxes does have that buyback, and I know, he had maybe 30 seconds left, so it's one of those, God, I don't want to use it, I'm so close, hold off a little bit longer. And they did end up saving the melee racks, obviously taking a bit of damage. It's going to start to regen now, but ooh, look at Wretched Hag right here, actually. She's going to come doing a little bit of backdooring almost, it looks like, and yeah, she's going to jump a Luna right here. A Luna's going to fall, the double damage from Wretched Hag. Doing so much damage. Look at that. Why is she porting right there? What was she thinking? Ooh, that was a very risky move on her part. It's probably going to end up in a kill. Wretched Hag trying to blink away. Runs right into support, though. She has that Shark Net activated, so obviously helping her a little bit. It's going to be close. Is Polywire Priest going to be able to get up? No, it doesn't look like it. And actually, Wretched Hag is going to turn this around. The Bat Blast comes out. The Hellfire activated on Wretched Hag. Gets Storm Speeded, though, by Rhapsody, it looks like. And Bubbles will fall. Polywire Priest falls shortly after. And now Morax is taking a lot of damage. He will more than likely end up dying here as well once again, as there's no support to be had anywhere in the near future. Parasite trying to take out Magnus by himself, but not even able to do that. So Meraxes falls, nice port in from Cut Through the Fun, takes out Parasite, and then Genocide coming out for Team Pikachu. So what looked like to be very questionable decision-making from Wretched Hag ultimately set up the freaking turnaround. I apologize, Tanka Fett.
Wow.
Ended up working out very well.
I mean, I did not think that was going to go that way whatsoever. I mean, still, although Hag's bait worked very nicely, where I can actually see her fall right here as a couple of buybacks come out. Probusk as well as Jolimar live. Polywog Priest is going to pay the ultimate price as he gets taken down, and I don't think Parasite is going to be able to solo hold this off, and it's looking like Team Pikachu going to be able to do it here, and Polywog Priest is going to buy back again, it looks like, as indeed he is out of buybacks, and he is going to fall shortly after, so down he goes. A noble effort from Jolim, but the GGs come out as the World Tree is exposed. So I have to say, a little bit of an upset here from Team Pikachu.
Yeah.
Going to be able to take down Team Han Portal. So, wow, very, very well played. A nice, long, pretty consistent game. 50 minutes in, both teams played well. I mean, both teams played really quite well. A nice, even game till the very end. As you said, so much action around that Condor pit, and I don't think we saw him killed once in that game. So interesting how that works out as well.
Agreed. I mean, that was, Pikachu. As I stated going into this game, they obviously took a game off of Black Fate in the Best of the 3 series in that Fnatic Play tournament. This is a team that's kind of come onto the scene lately and showing that they can compete with your top 10 teams even, as obviously defeating Port here, as we said, the number 8 team according to the community rankings coming into this match. So very big victory for them, no doubt. And congratulations, man. I mean, they're moving on to that quarterfinal stage, so really intrigued. Hey, one more win, and they qualify for that Invitational. So maybe a team we just may see in the Invitational. I believe, though, they are going to be set up to play Team It's Gosu, so no doubt an easy road there. So we'll keep a close eye on that. But, by the way, I do have a quick update. I got a message from Near. He's actually making this point, so real quickly. Parasite silences through Shrunken Head, but the damage doesn't. So according to him, Parasite's silence does work. Right. You can dispel the silence, however, if you use it Shrunken Head after. So, something to like Vindicate or whatnot. The Kelfield does not stun a Shrunken Head target. Again, that's what we kind of confirmed at the end there.
And
so,
that's the initial 0.5 second
correct.
Stun, not the one if you walk out of range.
And then also, if he walks out of the Kelfield after the Shrunken Head runs out, then he will be stunned, but he won't be stunned if the Shrunken Head's still active and he runs out of the stun or the stun range. So he will not be stunned basically if he has a Shrunken Head activated, no matter what.
But Kelfield will still do damage.
It'll still do damage, apparently. Yeah.
Okay,
or,
so
I don't know. He doesn't. He actually doesn't make a point of that though. So maybe it doesn't even do damage. I don't know.
That's so
weird.
That's why it's hard to remember. Like Parasite does the opposite, or does the opposite of what I would think.
Yeah.
I guess Bubbles is the opposite too.
I need to test this. Well, yeah. We do have our next game coming up, so I actually got to restart too. It looks like my computer's kind of freaking out, but anyways, I'll let you wrap it up here and go into the next game.
Yeah, well, that does it. I guess again we'll cut to the static screen here and investigate what probably will be the third of 3 matches for the day. Hopefully a round of 8 match, and we'll figure it out and get back to you guys. Of course, I'm Zyori. With me is Breaky CPK, the Han casting team. Happy to be here. Glad to be covering a nice It's Gosu May Open. So, of course, you can check out those brackets at itsgosu.com. Follow both of us on Twitter, at ZyoriTV, at BreakyCPK, at Honcast, at Heroes of Newerth, at It's Gosu. Plenty of Twitters to follow, so during the break here, that'll give you something to do. So sit tight, guys, and we'll have another big match coming up pretty quick.